Hey everybody, it's TS here, and in order to get you guys prepared for the Duo Victory Cups this season, I'm going to be breaking down how Cringe and Velo won this game of Pro Scrims. Now, the first thing to note is that when it comes to playing this meta, prioritizing guaranteed chest spawns is always super beneficial. So Cringe and Velo in their off spawn here, both prioritizing landing on spots that have a guaranteed chest. So inside this little shack is a guaranteed chest, and inside this bus is also a guaranteed chest, which is going to allow them to, I'm drawing something very graphic all of a sudden, allow them to insta-key Cheeps over here. Cheeps, kind of like me on a Friday night, he went to the club, and he ended up going home with nothing. He landed on this building, didn't get a floor spawn, tried to run back, and ends up going down. That chest spawn is bugged, by the way. It did not spawn this game, so player lands on building, gets nothing, ends up just being a free kill. Now, you're probably wondering, why is Cringe and Velo landing this really random split drop in between Cletus's cornhole, another crazy name, and the nuclear power plant? Well, it all comes down to fishing. This meta is entirely based around fishing. So if we look over here, this is what makes this spot an S tier drop spot, the fishing rod. The fishing rod is super broken. So the way teams are playing the fishing rod is there is very limited mobility this season. You can hold max a stack of 3 blinkers and max a stack of 3 slushies. The problem is that in duos, you have 2 people. So if you want to rotate, you have 1 rotate with blinkers and then a half rotate where one of you gets to rotate, and the same is true with slushies. So how do you get around this issue? Well, you keep holding the fishing rod. What teams have figured out is the fishing rod essentially acts as an unlimited supply of blinker fish. Because the fishing rate with still water, so water that isn't the fishing holes, is 26% blinker fish, you can just pick up a fishing rod here, and then you just fish, and you get, let's say, 3 blinkers. You can then use those 3 blinkers to rotate to here, and then you can fish again, and then you can rotate again to here, and then you just keep going along the water as you rotate, and you just keep pausing and fishing and keep pausing and fishing, and you don't drop the fishing rod until you transition into the 5th zone partial. If you do that, you're going to essentially ensure you still have mobility for that 5th zone, and you're going to be in a god spot. This game, they're going to do this strategy. They're going to fish here and then rotate down, fish here, and they're going to end up being able to walk into 6th zone with 6 total blinker fish. It's an absolute masterclass of a mid game. But the core strategy behind it is you utilize that fishing rod to master your mid game rotates, and then towards the end of the mid game, when you're transitioning into those partial zones, so 5th zone, 6th zone, that's when you drop the fishing rod. You don't just fish for 3 blinkers and then drop it. That is 1.5 rotate. That's nothing. But if you can go into movings with 6 blinkers because you're still holding that fishing rod, that is how you get stacked. And so the rest of this mid game is going to be them just fishing. On top of this, with the new surge, which we are still using, which is damage done over damage taken, you are very much de-incentivized from taking fights in mid game. Right now, they are plus 200, right? Because they killed Cheeps and they've taken no damage. So as long as they just sit here and they fish and they don't take damage, they stay that 200 above. So that's what the rest of their mid game is going to be. Cringe runs around, he refarms, he comes back, he fishes, but the entire core of their mid game is fish, 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 fish. I wish I could think of a clever joke to say there. Just imagine I said one and say, wow, timestamp, right now. That's so funny, TS. You're amazing. From here, like I said, they just keep fishing. There is never enough fish. So here's where things get interesting now. This is the 5th zone. Next zone after this is going to be the partial. I guess this is 4th zone, next one's going to be 5th zone. They could very easily rotate in here and be with everyone else, right? They could just rotate in and just be somewhere along this edge. The problem is everyone else is going to do that. And so if they end up anywhere on this edge, they're going to be forced to burn a lot of mats, probably burn some blinkers, and they're going to take damage. They're only 200 above right now. They're not that crazy above. And so this is where having this huge stack of extra whites comes in handy. One of the key things that I have talked about before is being able to skip mid-game is really, really important. And now because they have so many extra whites here, they can afford to skip the mid-game on this rotate. Instead of having to rotate in and being on this super congested, super cluttered side, they can have Velo just run through Krusty Krab, looking for Camp Krusty, looking for extra mats, looking for extra ammo, and just be able to refarm and be productive right now. The reason why is because they have so many extra floppers, small fry, so many extra whites, so they can afford to tank this zone. Now, some of you are probably worried, well, what about heal off? Well, the thing is, heal off isn't as common this time. Because the mid game is shorter, games are less stacked, and teams are a lot poorer. And so what that turns into is now that partials start at 5th zone instead of 6th zone, and there's an entire extra moving, games very rarely end up going to heal off. And when they do, it's not a very long one. So tanking a zone like this to ensure that you are stacked going into the end game is more important than setting yourself up for a potential heal off. So now they're able to set up their ammo well, they're going to be able to set up their heals well, and now, once again, even though they got a really bad zone, because they have extra blinkers, because they have extra floppers, and even some extra slushies Cringe is able to find while Velo fished, they're going to be able to pull off a crazy rotate here. Pop slushies. If you haven't seen this combo, by the way, the slushy blinker combo is crazy. So the slushy gives you 0 grab and unlimited tack sprint, and the blinker fish allows you to dash like this, and so you just fly across the map. And so again, if they had rotated with everyone else, they'd be in this messy, super congested cluster with everyone else, and they'd probably only have 4 blinkers left, which is only 2 rotates. But because they sat in zone up here, and then utilized their extra whites and the slushies they found in that mid game, they're going to be able to come out on this edge, and they still have 3 blinkers each. That's 3 free rotates, essentially. Pop another one to get even deeper, and now they still have 2 blinkers each, and look at the position they are in. They're all the way deep over here. They have a free rotate if it pulls across, pulls down, they're good. If it pulls back up, they have a pretty easy rotate from this position. They have really good mats, 1,300 on Cringe and 1,100 on Velo, and they still have those 2 rotates for free, basically, with the blinkers. Villain pops, pulls far, instantly just blinker across, get middle. And they find themselves in a god spot once again. The rest of this zone is kind of mundane. That's your word of the day. That means boring. And they don't really do much here. Kind of just vibe. This is where that really strong mid game is like so important though. Next zone pulls max, and so because they still have a blinker fish each because they spend so much time fishing, this isn't really a difficult rotate for them. This can be able to dash, get all the way deep, and then they find themselves in a god spot. So I'm going to switch over to Velo instead of Cringe because they're about to get a kill. And I want you guys to remember the caliber of this lobby. This is EU Pro Scrims. There are some of the best players in the world here. And they are going to generate almost all of their kills from crouching. Smack, break this wall, then break that. Step back to make sure they're not being baited, and they're going to be able to crouch walk up. So, how were they able to do this? How were they able to just full awareness check, crouch walk up onto this team? Well, it comes down to how Fortnite audio works. So if you were to smack any of the walls in this box, so this, the cone, the top, the audio on that smack would get prio. What that means is the audio is suddenly amplified, so it's louder than anything else. And so if they are spraying, if they're full tunnel visioned on spraying this guy over here and there's a bunch of noise all around them, they're going to be able to instantly hear that. But a tile away, there is not that prio on the audio if you break this wall here. And so because they broke a wall a tile away, they don't get that audio. Velo and Cringe end up walking over, and they're able to get a huge refresh. Now, as this endgame progresses, I want you to keep track of how many refreshes they get simply based off crouching, because it's a crazy, crazy amount. Off that, though, they're able to get another refresh on blinkers, and just a great mat refresh with extra metal there. They're capped each. Next zone, pulls max again. Now, the thing to note here is if you're ever in a lobby like this and you end up getting a big refresh like Cringe in this situation, you need to understand what everyone else is in the position. Everyone else in this lobby have just had to deal with 3 max pulls in a row in a meta where there is almost no mobility. Everyone in this lobby is going to be shambles. Cringe plays this next moving incredibly, incredibly well with that knowledge. So we drop blinkers. We pop them. We go. Notice how he cut all the way across from this south side towards this north side. Now, this is a very risky rotate as you cut across into another player's lane. But because he gets over towards this north side that was expanding from the previous zone, he's now essentially on this dead side for the rest of the moving zone and can just cut in. Much, much safer side. And he's essentially just going to full tarp the rest of this first moving. Again, most of this lobby is shambles. They've all just had to deal with 3 max pulls in a row in a very low mobility meta. None of them have anything really. Tries to look over, tries to convert a kill from his side. Not really there. Pre-tarps, zone pops. Instantly gets towards front. Really, really good tarping there from Cringe. Unlucky zone pull for them as they do get cut off, but they play this super well. Instead of panicking and just rushing down middle, again, because they have so many fish, because of that excellent mid game, they're going to be able to just go, hey, let's just go up left. We tank a little. It doesn't really matter. And now they find themselves in a god spot again. Drops floppers. And now even though they are just cut off for low, he looks down. He sees all this open space right below this team. And he just cuts down right in below them and just slides past them. Really, really good low ground take there. That's just executed by being aware. If you're ever in a position like this, where you are stacked mats, 500, or I guess 600 really, and then 600 on velo, they don't need a refresh, right? A refresh doesn't really change the course of their game, right? Because they have 1k total mats right now. If they up that to 2k, does that really change how they play? No, right? They have enough mats to take low, they have enough mats to take height, they have enough mats to do whatever they need to do to develop their win condition right now. And so what's more important than anything else is being aware of that win condition. By Cringe being aware of that low ground, looking for the opportunities, he finds himself on low ground now, essentially for free, just by being aware, just by not giving up on it, just because he gets pushed up to mid ground. And now that they are finally front, now they look for kills. Real quick basic thing, you should never really be looking for kills when you're tarping in a straight line because you don't really control space. So as they're tarping here, the focus should be to just get front and just get control of front. But now that they've gone front and now just go towards this side, now is when they can look for kills, right? Because now they essentially control all of this space because they're front and they can look for a kill on this side, on any of these players that are coming in, funneling in from this backside. So any of this little bunch back here. So once you get front, that's when you kind of just want to cut to a side and then use that side to try and generate a kill. They look, they don't really get an opportunity. Shift focus, being ready for zone to pop. When zone pops, they're instantly ready to go. Notice how they are stopping fighting when zone's about to pop, so that they're always ready to go. It's that same sort of thing where it's the win is more important than anything else. So making sure you are ready for those zone transitions, keeping low, is more important than a singular kill. This is just going to be pure skill out of velo momentarily here. Holds wall, edits, resets, edits again, 150. You can't teach that. Pure skill. Once they get that refresh, they shift over and immediately start two-tiling low ground. Whenever you get that refresh on low, this is how you should be playing. Even though this is only 10th zone, and there's technically 2 more zones, what trumps that is the player count. I'm going to keep saying it. These games don't go with that long usually, and players end up shambles early. So if you are top 12 and there's 8 teams alive, investing in this 2-wide is so important. Next zone ends up playing back, and here's where I said it's important to keep track of how often they are crouched. Whenever you are endgame and your tarp pulls zone, so it pulls back, you need to be like Kai Cenat, and that means be tiny. So I'm gonna explain why. Because it pulled back, Janus has no idea right now if he's walking over a cone like a player is actually editing, ends up walking on top of this cone. Remember, this is Janus. Janus is one of the most experienced players in the world. He's been around forever. He won a Grand in Chapter 2. If anyone's going to have great awareness, it's going to be Janus. And even him, in this endgame, ends up getting dropped down, instantly killed by Velo and Cringe. It's super easy to generate those easy free kills when you are front side in a full build tarp, because everyone plays on low meshes. They won't know if you're in those builds. They are not going to have that awareness. End up getting cut off here. Almost goes bad, but they're able to get out. Having infinite shieldfish is beneficial here. Ends up coming down. Once they get front, same thing. As soon as your butt is connected to this zone, they get small. They get like Kai Cenat and they start to crouch. This is because as they go along these edits here, if there is a player that's dropping down or smacking something or just on this wall in general, if they are crouched, this is going to be a free kill. Keeps crouching, realizes, hey, there's no one here, and then he just shifts into just tarping, staying in front, and just spraying. Again, getting that a little awareness check. Whenever zone pulls back and you have a full tarp, you should always be crouching when you are front zone. From here, same sort of principle as before. They have good mats, and they're just going to 2-wide low ground. Now, I'm going to just highlight Velo here, because he is going to go crazy in his endgame. Ignore the fact that it just looks like he's permanently trying to build a wall. It's a replay bug. Sadly, I can't really do anything about it. From here, though, just real quick, the win is kind of already guaranteed at this point. They have 11 splashes and 2 floppers. Hey, look at this kill. Throws body front. Doesn't even play for the body. This is something really high like level. But Velo is not the guy that's going to be playing heal off, right? Cringe is. Who needs the mats from this body? Is it Velo? No, it's Cringe. I see way too often players greed and just get mats from the body and all these things when it doesn't matter. Cringe is the one that needs the mats, not Velo. It does not make sense for Velo to ever run across those mats in that specific situation. Lane shotguns out. Velo goes to tank to build. This is something very cool that's done in this heal off. So as zone shrinks, rather than just Cringe running back to play heal off, because they have splashes, they're going to run back and play heal off together. Whenever you have splashes, this is how you should be doing heal off. This way, Cringe can kind of just act as the designated medic, and Velo can just act as like the sort of sword and shield, protecting Cringe and just like shotgun out and fighting while Cringe keeps them healthy. So right now, iDrop is going to do everything in his power to get into their boxes to try and stop this heal off. And if Cringe was alone, this would be possible. But because Velo is just going to sit there with his shotgun out while Cringe heals them and keeps them 200, it is impossible for iDrop to win this. And he ends up walking and dying. So I hope you guys learned a bit about how to play this meta when it comes to Duo Victory Cup specifically, and how you should be playing these games to developing your win condition. I'm going to keep doing my best to keep making content as this season progresses to help make sure my followers become just as rich as me. And I hope you guys found this video really helpful. If you made it to the end, like, drop a comment, sub if you're not. Also, follow my Twitter at PeanutBrainTS. It's linked in the replies, or not replies, in the, whatever you call that section. I did a 5-minute breakdown of this meta. It's pretty well covered in this, but there's some things in that I did not cover here. So if you want to see that, go find my Twitter. Appreciate all of you guys. I hope you guys enjoyed, and I hope you guys all do really, really well this season.